Digital Entrepreneurship, Strategies for Revival of Global Economy Post-COVID-19 is organized by the School of Management to identify and acknowledge digitally innovative efforts made by business and leading them towards enhanced performance so that the other organizations following their examples may prepare themselves to face the global challenges and emerge as market leaders. It would not at all be an exaggeration if I assert that today we are sharing space with the dignitaries that can clearly be characterized as being a conglomerate of intellectuals of unparalleled mental prowess. The illustrious and admired Dr. Karunesh Saxena, Vice Chancellor, Sangam University, Bhilwara, Rajasthan, chief guest in the ceremony, the eminent and noteworthy Mr. Arup Majumdar, CEO, Charity Consulting Group, as the guest of honor, the respectable and distinguished Mr. Rajiv Kumar, Global Head, Talent Alliance MuleSoft, keynote speaker in the ceremony present virtually, the very prominent and respected Founder Chancellor Sir, Sri Ramashankar Sarji, in absentia, eminent Mrs. Ruchi Singh Chauhan, Counselor ITM University in absentia, the very prominent Dr. Daulat Singh Chauhan, Pro-Chancellor ITM University in absentia, influential and paramount Dr. S.S. Bhakar, Vice-Chancellor ITM University, Gwalior, eminent Dr. Santosh Kishan Narayan Khedkar, Pro-Vice-Chancellor ITM University, Dr. Shilpa Bhakar, Conference Convener, Dr. Vandana Bharti, Conference Chairperson, Dr. Pooja Jain, Organizing Secretary, International Conference 2022, learned dignitaries from various parts of the world, Dean, HODs, faculty and staff members, media persons and students. A very heartily good morning to all of you. I take the privilege to welcome the August gathering in the ceremony of inaugural of the 3rd International Conference on Digital Transformation and Digital Entrepreneurship, Strategies for Revival of Global Economy Post-COVID-19. So before inviting our dignitaries on the dais, I would request them to kindly kindle the holy lamp in front of Goddess Saraswati so that we can start with our session today. So please. Give a huge round of applause, everyone.
Ya kundendu tushar dhavala Ya shubhra vastravrita Ya veena varadanda mandita kara Ya shveta padmasana Ya brahmachyuta shankara prabhrutibhir devai sada vandita sa ma patu saraswati bhagavati nishesha jadyapaha.
I would request the dignitaries to kindly come ahead on the dais. Someone anonymously said that flowers in any ways are beautiful. They have their source of beauty in themselves, and with such flowers to welcome our dignitaries and to make this day more beautiful, I would like to request Mr. Keshav Singh Kansana to welcome Mr. Arup Majumdar with a bouquet of flowers. So please. Thank you, sir. Next up, I would like to call upon Dr. Vandana Bharti to please welcome our chief guest, Dr. Karunesh Saxena, with a bouquet of flowers. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to request Dr. Shilpa Bhakar, convener, International Conference 2022, to introduce the conference to all of us. Ma'am, please.
Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Karunesh Saxena, Vice Chancellor, Sangam University, Bhilwara, Rajasthan. Renowned guest of honor, Mr. Arup Majumdar, CEO, Trariti Consulting Group. Renowned keynote speaker, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, Global Head, Wipro. Principled founder, Chancellor, Rama Shankar Singh Ji. Dignified Chancellor, Ruchi Singh Chauhan Ji. Righteous Pro-Chancellor, Daulat Singh Chauhan. Virtuous Vice Chancellor, Professor S.S. Bhakar. Respectable Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Santosh Krishna Narayan Khedka. Registrar, Dr. Omveer Singh Ji. Invited guests, members from press and media, deans, HODs, faculty members, staff members, conference participants, and my dear friends. A very good morning to all of you. It is my proud privilege to introduce our third international conference on digital transformation and digital entrepreneurship, strategies for revival of global economy post-COVID-19, organized by School of Management, to all of you. As we all realize that the rate of technological development is at an all-time ever-increasing high, and entrepreneurs are mindful of opportunities to grab these opportunities. To capitalize on all these opportunities, entrepreneurs are looking forward towards digital transformation. Digital transformation involves the redesigning of business practices to incorporate digital technology within all the phases of business. But business environment is always full of challenges. And in order to stand out in such a competitive environment, organizations need to work on their strategies. They have to change their strategies according to the changing environment. One such incident is in front of all of us, that is COVID-19. And COVID-19 has actually presented a lot of challenges in front of organizations, industries, and economies in total. Prolonged lockdowns causes serious financial crisis in most of the economies of the world, and it is still continued. Business organizations are taking various steps to overcome the harsh impact of COVID-19 on their business by adopting various strategies to keep the cycle of recovery and progress on. This conference will reveal and analyze various post-COVID-19 strategies for revival of new global economy and business environment through highlighting opportunities of digital transformation and digital entrepreneurship. Today, we are in the inaugural ceremony of Third International Conference by School of Management 2022. This conference will include 5 technical sessions. In all, 110 research papers will be presented in these technical sessions. The inaugural ceremony will be followed by first technical session of track 1 at 11 a.m. That will include papers on digital transformation in financial services and financial market practices. The session will be chaired by Dr. T. Geeta, Associate Professor, Janki Devi Bajaj, Institute of Management Studies, SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. It will be co-chaired by Professor Tarun Agarwal, Professor and HOD, NL Dalmia Institute of Management Studies and Research, Mumbai. The keynote for this session will be given by Dr. K.U. Nair, Director, Lakshmi Institute of Management, Srigam, Gujarat. This will be followed by a lunch break of half an hour. We will commence the presentations of track 2 on contemporary transformation in global economy at 1:30 p.m., which will be chaired by Dr. Kanaiya Ahuja, Professor, School of Economics, DAVV, Indore, Madhya Pradesh. It will be co-chaired by Dr. Svetlana Tatuskar, Associate Professor, IES Management College and Research Center, Bandra, Mumbai. The keynote speaker will be Dr. Filizenge Kutluk, Faculty of Applied Sciences, Department of Finance and Banking, Candice University, Turkey. Second day of the conference, that is on 15th of May 2022, will commence with presentations in track 3. It will be on transformation in functional areas of business through innovative practices. It will commence at 10 a.m. morning. This session will be chaired by Professor Havante Ramkishan, Research Professor, Tourism Marketing Management, co-chaired by Dr. Rahul Pratap Singh Kaurav, Associate Professor, FIIB Business School. The keynote speaker in this session will be given by Dr. Ajay Kumar Jain, Organizational Behavior and Human Resource Department, MDI, Gurgaon. This will be followed by presentations in track 4 for discussing digital innovation, digital entrepreneurship, and new business model. This session will start at 12 p.m. This session will be chaired by Dr. Arhan Stapit, Professor, Faculty of Management and Law, Nepal Open University, Lalitpur, Nepal. It will be co-chaired by Dr. S. Anand Kumar, Associate Professor and HOD, Department of Computational Intelligence, School of Computer Science and Engineering, Vellore Institute of Technology and Sciences. The keynote speaker of this session will be Dr. Manoj Kumar Das, Associate Professor, Triple ITM Gwalior. This session will be followed by lunch, and track 4 will start at 2 p.m. And we will move further for presentations in track 5 that will include the best papers presented, which are selected out of these 4 tracks. The best paper session will start at 2:30 p.m. This session will be chaired by Dr. Manoj Patwardhan, Professor, ABV, Triple ITM Gwalior, co-chaired by Dr. Amit Kumar Singh, Associate Professor, Delhi School of Economics, Noida, UP, and Dr. Jagrup Singh, Assistant Professor, Gulf Medical University, UAE. The conference will be over with valedictory session on 15th May 2022, in which the chief guest will be Professor Dr. Alok Chakrawal, Vice Chancellor, Guru Ghasidas Central University, Bilaspur. Guest of honor, Mr. Gopal Krishna, Country Head in TCS, Tata Consultancy Services. And guest of honor, Mr. Ashish Vaishya, MD, Precision Industries. So let's commence the journey of this conference and explore the strategies of digital entrepreneurship and digital internship in order to get ready to contribute towards the growing developments in the growing economy of India as well as the world. That's all from my side. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for throwing light on the conference theme and the entire process of the conference. Now, I would like to request Dr. Vandana Bharti, Dean, School of Management and Chairman of the conference, to give the welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Founder Chancellor, Sir, Honorable Chancellor Ma'am, Mrs. Ruchi Singh Chauhan, Honorable Pro Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Daulat Singh Chauhan, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor S.S. Bhakar, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor S.N. Ketkar, Chief Guest of the session, Dr. Karnesh Saxena, Vice Chancellor, Sangam University, Bhilwara, Rajasthan, Guest of Honor, Mr. Arup Majumdar, ex-CEO, Trinity Consulting Group, and the keynote speaker of this session, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, Global Head Wipro, respected Registrar Sir, all the Deans and HODs, faculty members, participants of this conference, and my dear students. It's a privilege to address you all in the inaugural ceremony of the 3rd International Conference on Digital Transformation and Digital Entrepreneurship, Strategies for the Revival of Global Economy Post-COVID-19. Organized by School of Management, ITM University, Gwalior. ITM University is a multidisciplinary private university established in Gwalior and has earned more than 30 awards and ranked 24 times among the best universities of the country by government and other agencies. ITM School of Management is one of the flagship brands of ITM University, Gwalior, and ranked as one of the best leading B schools in Central and North India. It has received highest ratings for its learning outcome-based academic programs, state-of-art infrastructure, rich academic resources, continuous evaluation system, credit-based system, and global outlook. I welcome you all on behalf of School of Management, ITM University. Today we have gathered for the third international conference with a theme, Digital Transformation and Digital Entrepreneurship Strategies for Revival of Global Economy Post-COVID-19. As the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world, it completely changed our perception about the digital technology in business and its implementation. It has encouraged digital adoption and transformation all over the world. Digital business transformation post-COVID-19 is at the center of today's economic development debate due to its widely interested usage. As per the survey conducted by Statista on how will the COVID-19 pandemic affect the overall economic situation of the digital economy, the opinions were mixed. Let's see how business transformation in digital economy is assumed to shape up according to the survey. 33% of the surveyed international digital decision makers believe that the digital economy will benefit after the pandemic. 25% of the members of the business players will be reduced while the major corporations will emerge stronger than even over the pandemic is over. And 24% think that the digital economy will have enduring a long-term revenue loss like the overall economy. And the 16% of the people who were a part of the survey believed that no predictions or forecast is possible at the moment. Is COVID-19 really accelerating the digital transformation? Yes. We have seen a drastic shift of consumer towards the online channels. Companies are coming up with digital business transformation strategies to stay in the game. An article in the World Economic Forum states that 3 major transformations will be observed post-pandemic. First, the ability to leverage digital tools has become a must for the entrepreneurs to survive in the ongoing crisis. Secondly, the pandemic has accelerated the process of digital transformation across almost all the sectors. Thirdly, greater social mobility and shared value creation are among those factors that entrepreneurs can leverage using the digital tools on the recovery path. The benefits of digital economy will also see the mass entrepreneurship spur on the social mobility, and there will be a greater economic participation from the marginalized populations. Although the current pandemic has had a severe impact on the global economy, the digital economy has proven instrumental in the battle against the COVID-19. Still, it is hard to predict a recurrence of the virus and the lasting impact of this pandemic. The future we envision post-COVID is one where people and businesses are prepared and enabled through the technology. Whether it is to continue business operations or maintain access to essential needs, the digital economy will play a crucial role in all aspects of our lives. As the world slowly but steadily shifts to the recovery stage, we have all seen that the pandemic has brought on changes to the consumer behavior that are likely to stay for good. The question then becomes how we can empower the entrepreneurs to leverage the digital tools and the innovations while navigating the pandemic. What opportunities should entrepreneurs on the path of recovery have their antenna turned into to adapt a new consumer behaviors using the digital tools? Another question, are we utilizing digital transformation to its full potential? Many more such questions will be addressed in the conference in the different sessions to be conducted in the 2 days. I hope the sessions are going to be more fruitful to understand in a better manner the digital transformation and the digital entrepreneurship. I wish all the participants a great learning in this conference. Thank you everyone for joining this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Up next, I would request Dr. Santosh Kishan Narayan Khetkar, Pro Vice Chancellor, ITM University, and patron of the conference for the special address. So please.
Before I start, I want to involve everyone, and that is very easy. I am going to chant Gayatri Mantra, and I assume that you will be knowing. So you can chant with me, and then be present in this hall. Bring yourself back to this hall, and only to the hall, and listen to what is happening. Don't talk among yourself. Listen to what is happening, because you will learn a lot through attending this. In fact, you are very fortunate to be in this hall, who are able to directly attend this program. Om Bhur Bhuvatsvaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Very good morning to you all. Thank you, Dr. Sonal Saxena, for your wonderful anchoring. आज़ादी का अमृत महोत्सव की आप सभी को हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं. Welcome to third international conference in the Silver Jubilee celebrations of ITM on digital transformation and digital entrepreneurship, strategies for revival of global economy post-COVID-19 pandemic. We are all going through the pandemic. Pandemic happens normally at the frequency of 100 years. You might be at the age of 20, 25, less than that. I am at the age of 50. So I did not witness any pandemic before. You also have not witnessed any pandemic before. But we have all witnessed it together for last 2 years, 2019 onwards. And that has changed everything. Paradigm shift. We started learning from the home. We started learning from the mobile. We started doing practicals online. We started giving the exams online. We started getting recruited online. So this is definitely a bigger change which has not happened in the past. Previously, the parents used to say to the kids, don't use mobiles, don't use laptops for browsing the social media. But in last 2 years, they were saying, take the mobile, take the laptop and attend the lectures. So there is a change. Now, how do we make use of this change? That totally depends on us. And this conference will throw light on that. That is why I said you are very fortunate to undergo this conference and attend and enlighten yourself. On behalf of ITM University, I am grateful to the chief guest, Professor Karunesh Saxena. Welcome, sir. And guest of honor, Mr. Arup Majumdar, CEO, for taking out time for inaugural ceremony today morning in spite of very busy calendar. We look forward to working together in future. Very warm welcome to you both in this conference at ITM University. Welcome to the galaxy of plenary and keynote speakers from all parts of the world addressing the delegates of this conference. Thanks to the editorial teams of 5 journals which are associated and are very reputed with indexing in Scopus. Welcome to all delegates who are attending this international conference in blended mode. Some are here and many are outside online attending. Gratefulness to Honorable Founder Chancellor, ITM University, Sri Ramashankar Singh Ji, Honorable Chancellor, ITM University, Srimati Ruchi Singh Chauhan Ji, Honorable Pro Chancellor, ITM University, Professor Daulat Singh Chauhan Ji, Honorable Vice Chancellor, ITM University, Professor S.S. Bakar Ji, Registrar Dr. Ombir Singh Ji. Congratulations to all the organizing team under the leadership of Professor Vandana Bharti, Professor Shilpa Bakar, Dr. Pooja Jain, and Dr. Sonal Saxena and Professor Shahid. They have put in their day and night together to make this conference a reality. Congratulations to all the committee members, subcommittee members, and all those who are associated and contributed to this conference at ITM University. University is grateful to all. Welcome to all deans, HODs, in-charges, faculty members, staff members, and my dear students. Now the conference has very important keyword, entrepreneurship. The most difficult of anything possible. Most difficult. Doing a job is easier, but becoming an entrepreneur will take away your sleep. You cannot sleep if you are an entrepreneur. You cannot rest. So, outcome of entrepreneurship is to wipe every tear from every eye, which is the mission and vision given by Mahatma Gandhi ji. So, I will have some points, some pointers I will just give. There is a whole conference on this. So for entrepreneurship, there are three important words what I feel are important. The abbreviation is PIC, full form of P is passion, I is intensity, and C is consistency. Passion, jazba. अगर जज्बा है तो ही entrepreneurship possible है. Entrepreneurship cannot be done by the force of your parents, nor the force of your friends. They cannot force you to start a company. No, no one can force. It will not work. It has to be internal. One more keyword you might be aware of, ISO certifications. So there is a ISO for entrepreneurship, which stands for in spite of. You will have 100 hurdles. Nothing will work. But in spite of you do the things, then you are called the true entrepreneur. There is a small story of two ladies. First one is Tina. Tina is very charming and she is the girlfriend of an entrepreneur. And the full form of Tina is there is no alternative. So the entrepreneur is unable to do anything because everywhere he is having there is no alternative. So he is stuck up, no progress. Then he gets frustrated. Then he meets another charming lady, Isha. Isha is very positive. Isha stands for I see 100 alternatives. I see 100 alternatives. For the same scenario, Tina is saying no alternative. Isha says I see 100 alternatives. Then our entrepreneur marries that Isha and he is full of peace because there are alternatives in his life for every problem he faces. If you see the life of Sachin Tendulkar, the Bharat Ratna, every morning he will not touch his phone. He will not see his news items. Not now, when he was hitting the centuries. he never used to see the phone unless he will play 500 balls. So that is the spirit required. Yesterday, Madhya Pradesh government announced startup policy that was announced by Honorable Chief Minister in the presence of virtual presence of Prime Minister of India, Honorable Prime Minister. We all know the slogan, "तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आज़ादी दूंगा." Yesterday, our Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh said a similar one, "तुम मुझे idea दो, मैं तुम्हें opportunity दूंगा." So this program was in Indore, and Chief Minister sir was announcing that in last 5 months, the startups were able to get the funding of around 700 crores in 5 months. There was also mentioned by Secretary from Central India government that India is in the top 3 in the startup. There are 100 unicorns, and the fastest unicorns are happening in India. So startup is the best option. We are also going to have a detailed session on how the students can start up their own companies while they are doing their studies. You all might be knowing this famous dialogue, किसी चीज को अगर शिद्दत से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उसे मिलाने में लग जाती है. तो ये हम नहीं करते हैं, हम सिर्फ एक बार सोचेंगे और छोड़ देंगे. I congratulate all of you for fighting pandemic COVID-19 and emerging victorious. My best wishes for the success of this international conference. Jai Hind, Jai ITM.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing a wonderful insight about entrepreneurship. With this, I would now like to invite Ms. Priyanka Bhaskar, Assistant Professor, School of Management, to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, Global Head Wipro, to the audience present on the virtual mode. Please.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to all the dignitaries on and off the dais. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our esteemed keynote speaker, Mr. Rajiv Kumar. He's a Global Head, Talent Alliances, MuleSoft at Salesforce. He's creating an ecosystem of talent globally to help enterprises to accelerate the digital transformation using Salesforce technology. He was Chief Customer Officer at Apiro Incorporation, a Wipro company, USA. He did a stint of Global Head, Campus Hiring, Wipro Limited, where he was responsible for hiring university graduates across the world. Also, he's a member of Trustee of Snehaya, a non-profit organization that has been helping women, children, and trustee LGBT communities affected by HIV, AIDS, poverty, violences, and sex trafficking for over 2 decades. He's on the board of advisor of www.openlegsfoundation.org, working for improving school education in India. He is on the board of director of Maina Mahila Foundation. Also, he is the author of Defining Destinies, a non-fiction book about human trafficking. He was awarded by the Indian Society for Technical Education for his contribution to the technical education in India. He holds MBA in Strategy and MS in Information System from Boston University School of Management. He fondly remembered his formative years at the Scindia School, Gwalior, where he learned the ethos of working for the community. It's an honor and a privilege for us, sir, to have you here with us today. Now, I would request Mr. Rajiv Kumar to address the audience. Over to you, sir.
Can you hear me? I think.
Yes, sir, you're audible now.
Vipin, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted that assurance. One of you, if by any way there is no audio, then just please let me know. It should not happen that I'm speaking and you're not hearing my audio. So let me know that, okay? Good morning, everyone. Very happy to be here on this great event. My good friend, Honorable Pro-Chancellor Dr. Daulat Singh, Vice Chancellor Dr. Bhakar, Honorable Chief Guest Dr. Karunesh Saxena, Vice Chancellor Sangram University, Bhilwara, speakers, paper presenters, faculty members, and others. A very hearty congratulations to School of Management, ITM Gwalior University, for picking up a very relevant topic for this third international conference. I would have liked to attend this event in person, but due to my prior travel plans, I could not do so. For me, Gwalior is a very important part of my life, as I spent the best 9 years of my life in my school at Gwalior Fort. Hence, I never want to miss an opportunity to visit Gwalior, to relive all the nostalgia of my childhood. So I really feel bad I could not come in person. Around 2 years and 2 months back, in March 2020, global pandemic was declared. So if you look at COVID-19 has gone from being a fresh emergency to a fact of life now. Some of the pandemic's damaging consequences, ramifications are now being assessed and understood. But at the same time, some unprecedented opportunities are unfolding. And today, we will spend more time on discussing these opportunities as we delve deeper in digital transformation and digital entrepreneurship. The strategies for revival of global economies post-COVID-19. The closest to our today's audience is the education sector. On an average, students have 8 months of learning loss across the world. I do not want to discuss what it did to the airline industry and what it did to the tourism industry, as travel and tourism are not expected to return to 2019 levels before 2024. In India, COVID-19 and associated lockdowns caused the economy to contract by 7.3% in that year. But glimmers of hope come from young Indian entrepreneurs who have created hundreds of firms and numerous unicorns, privately held startups valued at more than $1 billion in the last year. Equally promising work is happening in all parts of the world. Today, the gig economy, where the digital entrepreneurs are creating value, the gig economy is currently employing 80 lakh Indians in India. I was in London, stuck in the lockdown for 10 months, since March 20 to November 20. Those 10 months I was in London, I was stuck there. You may have heard this statement that pandemic accelerated the digital transformation. And I could experience it every day. I was running the Salesforce business for Wipro in those days. Enterprises who had kept their digital transformation initiatives in low priority were forced to bring it up at the top. New business models, new supply chains, new customer acquisition methods were started to be adopted. Because it was not a matter of choice, but it was a matter of survival for the enterprises. The lockdowns forced skeptics to believe that work can be done equally well remote from anywhere in the world. The customer expectations changed and new customer relationship paradigms have quickly come up. The Indian IT sector and the service providers benefited as the demand was spurred and more work came offshore, which is translated into huge talent demand across India. While we all use digital transformation word very casually, but what does it encompass? It is actually integration of digital technology into all areas of a business. It changes how you operate and deliver value to customers. That's what digital transformation is. And it tries to meet the customer expectations, which are changing at a very rapid pace. It tries to meet the customer expectations in newer ways. Today, I work for Salesforce, and Salesforce Clouds and MuleSoft, which is an integration technology, is part of thousands of customers' digital transformation journey. If I have to bucket these initiatives, that digital transformation initiatives, I can bucket it in three categories. So the bucket one is more around operational efficiencies. The organizations are going through operational efficiency because nobody can afford to have extra cost. Nobody can afford to be slow. Nobody can afford to be distant from the customers. So in bucket one, you have a lot of companies who are doing legacy modernization. You have got a lot of companies who are doing their portfolio rationalization. Portfolio rationalization is they have a lot of different technologies in their organization and they want to reduce it. They want to rationalize it. They are doing business automations. They are trying to increase employee productivity. All these are in one bucket. The second bucket is a very interesting bucket where enterprises are doing initiatives in the area of customer experience. So all the activities on e-commerce, all the activities on mobile, all the activities on single view of customer, all the activities on ease of onboarding a customer, all that falls in this category of customer experience. Other one in this category is partner experience. So an organization, an enterprise has numerous vendors, numerous partners, and they want their partners to have better experience. And the third one in this is employee experience. Enterprises want their employees to have a better experience when they start working in a company. They have better ways of doing work, collaborate with each other so that they can be more productive, and their offboarding. So that entire life cycle is about employee experience. And the third category of digital initiatives that we are seeing is companies are coming with new products. Companies who were in brick and mortar now want to be on the internet. They're exploring new channels of doing business. They're exploring new markets where they can go, bring their products, bring their services. And there's a tremendous amount of mergers and acquisitions happening. So all these are digital transformations that is happening. And these are not a choice for companies post-pandemic. These are about survival. A business may take on digital transformation for several reasons, but by far the most likely reason is that it is a survival issue. In the wake of pandemic, an organization's ability to adapt quickly to supply chain disruptions, and with the current war that is happening, right? Organizations need to react to disruption in supply chain. They have got time to market pressure. They need to get their new products quickly. And as I said, rapidly changing customer expectation is also leading or driving these digital transformation. And we are seeing this in the spending priorities. So earlier, the spending priority was on other activities. Now it is on digital transformations. And what this entire digital transformation cycle is activating is that more economic activities are happening. And the other aspect of digital transformation is adopting a cultural change. When I say cultural change, I mean to say that organizations need to continually challenge the status quo. They cannot say that, we had been doing this work like this for last 50 years. Life Insurance Corporation of India cannot say that I have been working this since 1950 when we were incorporated. They have to continuously challenge the status quo. They have to experiment and get comfortable with failure. That is another important thing. Some of these digital transformations, you bring a new product, you go to a new market, you adopt a new channel, it may fail. And you have to be comfortable with failure. So these are extremely important if the digital transformation journey is happening. Now, when we evaluate digital entrepreneurship, which is going to be one of the strategies for reviving a global economy post-COVID-19, let's understand the facets of digital entrepreneurship. Let's see how relevant it is for our students and our dreamers. It includes creating a business on the internet, selling services or products online without the need to invest in physical spaces. So with minimal capital, you can start a venture. You can start entrepreneurship. You have capital coming from anywhere in the world. The entrepreneurial activity and the supportive entrepreneurial ecosystem were once mostly in Silicon Valley or a small number of centers in the US. Now they are global. That is where big change has occurred. And it has occurred at an astonishing speed in last 10 to 15 years. But in last 2 years, it has further accelerated. So if you combine the accelerated adoption of technology, willingness to experiment and try new models of dealing with things during the pandemic, working remotely, distributed operations, telehealth, you have got a big change. Nobel laureate Michael Spence said, surprising as it may seem, out of the deepest economic crisis since World War II could come a new era of productivity gains and prosperity. Two thoughts I would like to leave with you. During the pandemic, the gulf between the difference, the gap between the haves and have-nots have increased. Since I am associated with a lot of nonprofit organizations, I can see it, that this gap is increasing. It has increased, and there is significant amount of data supporting that. And the second biggest thing today, which is looming all around, is the climate change. And it is real. While countries are saying that they will become net zero, India has said will become net zero by 2070. China has said in China will become net zero by 2060. I think we need to have targets and milestones of shorter duration. And while we think of the global economy post-COVID-19, we need to think about sustainable solutions. We need to think about health of the planet. We need to think about digital entrepreneurship, the digital transformation. All these needs to always have the looming climate change behind, and your solutions should always have that variable in mind. With these words, I would leave with you this thought that the coming years and the coming decades are going to be extremely unpredictable. Just in last 1 year, in fact, 2 days back, I was in Mumbai in a round table with the additional secretary of energy from America and his team. And they said that in just last 1 year, America lost $180 billion because of all the different tornadoes and floods and cyclones that it had. India lost $37 billion. So climate change is something very, very real. And the digital transformation, the digital entrepreneurship that we are talking about, which students like you should be thinking about, need to have that perspective too. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm extremely delighted. Happy to take any questions. I don't know if that is the format. Otherwise, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm sure I'll get to see some of these students again when I'm in Gwalior. And I'm very sorry that I could not make it in person. Thank you. Have a wonderful event next 2 days. Would love to see the outcomes of the papers that are being presented. Would love to see some of the new thoughts, new ideas that would have come. I would request the coordinator of the event to send it to me. Thank you once again.
Thank you for the wonderful keynote speech, sir. Can we have a big
Can
round
you
of applause
unmute
for Mr.
yourself?
Rajiv Kumar? Should I? Hello. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Can we have a huge round of applause for Mr. Rajiv Kumar once again? Now, I would like to give a brief introduction of our guest of honor, Mr. Arup Majumdar. He is the CEO of Treti Consulting Group. Mr. Majumdar holds an engineering degree from IIT Kanpur and an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. He has been in leadership roles in consulting and consumer durable industry for 25 years in strategy, marketing, sales, business development with E&Y, Carrier, Emerson, Danfoss, Empresso, and Daikin. He has spent 20 years living in Malaysia, Hong Kong, France, and China, working with the top management consulting firm and Fortune 500 companies. This multicultural exposure in matrix organization enabled him to appreciate cultural diversity, norms of doing business globally, and building enduring relationship with multiple stakeholders. His focus is on helping companies achieve profitable growth in the midst of all the disruptive changes that are happening around the world. The pandemic, rapid adoption of technology, and changing customer awareness and preferences. He's a firm believer that the innovation, and especially disruptive innovation, will help companies and sustain competitive advantages in the global marketplace. He is also committed to help students to achieve their dreams career by bringing out best in them. Welcome, sir. I request Mr. Arup Majumdar to come on dais and say a few words.
Thank you, guys. Back in the year 2010, in a convocation address at Harvard Business School, Professor Keaton Christensen was asked a question that what would you like to advise the students, just like you are when you embark on a new journey? And he said, I want to ask each one of you 3 questions. And you have to ask yourself, each one of you in this room, 3 questions. Have I been happy or am I happy in my career? Happiness means different things. It would mean money, position, company, could mean many things. Depends on you. Second question, has my family been an enduring source of happiness for me throughout my career? And that's important. And the third question, which he said, was in jest, that have I been out of jail? Have I been out of trouble? Because as you grow in the organization, you will get a lot of powers. And when you get a lot of powers, there's a chance that you might misuse it. So these are the 3 questions he asked the students. So when I thought of talking to all of you students, I was thinking that I'm not going to talk about digitalization and entrepreneurship. You know all this stuff. I'm going to tell you what will make you happy in your career. What are the skill sets you need to pick up? You, each one of you, the skill set which the industry wants you to pick up. So I'm going to talk about 5. And like all consultants, I'm going to be very precise in those 5. The first is you have to have a high ambition for success. Set up in your goal, in your mind, what do you want to achieve? And you have to have high ambition to achieve that goal. Whether it be entrepreneurship, whether it be working in a company, doesn't matter. High ambition for success. Number 2, learning capabilities. Technology is becoming basic now. You have to learn technologies and you have to learn things very fast. Especially in our consulting profession, we value people who learn things very quick. So you have to learn things quick. So your learning capability or your learning adaptability is the second skill set you need to build up over the period of time. Having done that, the third thing is your content skill, which means your communication skill. And here I'll quote an example. Warren Buffett, the investor, when he was addressing the MBA students at Columbia Business School, he was approached by CNN and he was asked a question, what is one skill you want the MBA graduates to learn? He didn't talk about finance, he didn't talk about marketing. He said one skill I want all the students to really learn is communication skills. Written, verbal, body language, it's your communication skills which will earn you over 50% of your lifetime if you invest on that. Guys, take my word, communication skills, build on it. That's your content skill, number 3. Fourth is your people skill. In this virtual world, you got to network with people. Gone are the days where I can sit next to somebody and talk. You have to talk in a virtual space, so you have to build up the people skill. That's the 4th skill that you have to build up. The 5th is resources. Your time. You have only 24 hours. And you can't go crazy and say, I'm going to work 24 hours. That's not going to work. You have to manage your time. So the way you allocate your resources is what is going to be important. So how you allocate resources is going to be your 5th skill set that you pick up. My advice is, guys, these are the 5 skill sets which will stand you apart in any organization. And in my consulting role, I speak to organizations across industries, across the world. And I know that these are the 5 skills which companies and entrepreneurs are actually looking for. So this is what you have to build. Professor Christensen also said, how are you going to allocate your most precious resources so you are happy in life? Today, if you look at how you spend your time, let's say you spend 18 hours. Where do you spend your time? Maybe on hard skills, attending a college lecture, picking up something and learning stuff. You spend time on your family. Maybe that's another part. You spend time with your friends. Maybe that's another part. And of course, you have your leisure, sleep, etc. that comes on top. But these three are your major buckets: hard skills, family, and friend. That is today. When you look forward, not only for all of you, but for all of us who have been through this thick and thin, we think we need to build on this. How am I going to allocate my resource, which is my time, your time? I'm going to go a little bit high on my hard skills. I have to learn certain things. For example, digital stuff, AI, ML, blockchain, crypto, hard stuff. I need to learn a little bit. Number one, family. Do not shortchange your family. In our quest to gain economic wealth, position, we sometimes tend to forget family. Do not do that. Spend quality time with your family. So, in my equation, hard skill is plus, let's say 1. Hard skill here is plus 1. Build up on some hard skills. Family, same. Spend time with your family. Number 2. Third is, get yourself a mentor. In this world, if there's a mentor to help you, it will go a long way in your career success. I was fortunate to have very good mentor, and I feel privileged to partner with all this industry stalwarts, academic stalwarts, to offer myself as a mentor to all of you to help you to achieve your dreams. So get yourself a mentor. Number 3. Fourth, build on your soft skills. And soft skills are so very important. You will learn everything in college. The professors will teach you all the things. But to be successful in life, you have to build your soft skills. So I want you to focus on your soft skills. Fifth, find your passion early in life. At your stage, you will go try marketing, sales, finance. You will try everything. But there is one thing which is your passion, and you have to find it early. And if you find it early, you can pursue that passion to the extent it is possible to take you forward. So find your true passion early. It is very tempting to do many things. I get people who come and said, I have done this, I've done this, I've done this. They've done a lot of things. Good. But there is something called a T-shaped learning. You can do many things, but you stay focused on one thing that you are really good at. When you stand in front of somebody with conviction, nobody can challenge you on that. Not Professor Bakar, not me, not sir, all the sirs who are there. Nobody can challenge that because you have the knowledge to go for that. That is the T-shaped learning. And last, guys, have fun. Don't be so focused on work. Don't be so focused on stuff that you forget to have fun. So have fun in life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would now request the Honorable Dice to unveil the brochure of the 4th International Conference 2023, that is on Transforming Global Business Practices, a Strategy for Business Resilience, organized by the School of Management in the month of February. I would request the students to please bring the brochures on the dais so that the Honorable Dice can unveil it. I would request all the audience to give a big round of applause. The International Conference 2023 would be on the theme, Transforming Global Business Practices, a Strategy for Business Resilience. Thank you so much. I would again like to invite Ms. Priyanka Bhaskar to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Karunesh Saxena ji, Vice Chancellor, Sangam University, Bhilwara, Rajasthan, to all of you. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Karunesh Saxena, Vice Chancellor of Sangam University, Bhilwara, Rajasthan. He is the ex-director of Internal Quality Assurance Cell and Director, College Development Council. He served in different academic positions at universities like Saga University, Jammu University, Vikram University, Ujjain, and Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Also, he has delivered more than 1,000 lectures at renowned academics staff colleges. He has 32 years of experience in teaching and research. He has published 125 plus journals in referred journals. His area of expertise are quality assurance, behavioral science, production and operations management, quantitative techniques, and strategic management. He has trained more than 6,000 executives of public and private sectors. He has delivered customized training program for HZL, Udaipur, JK Cement, Nimbera, Binani Cement, Pindwara, Parleji, Nimrana, JK Lakshmi Cement, Sirohi. Sir, welcome here. I request you to please come on the dais and say a few words.
Good morning to all of you. Good morning to the last bench also. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor S.S. Bhakar Sahab, distinguished keynote speaker who joined online, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, equally distinguished, our special guest today, Mr. Arup Majumdar, who has given really invaluable life lessons for the young students present here today. The Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Narayan Khedkar, the dignitaries on the dais, which include Dr. Shilpa, Dr. Vandana, Dr. Pooja, and Dr. Sonal. Respected teachers, dear students, delegates, online as well as offline. I am extremely delighted to be with all of you in this beautiful but warm morning here in Gwalior. I have many fond memories of Gwalior, sir. I hail from Madhya Pradesh. I am from Bhopal. My father was posted here in early 70s in Gwalior, and I have spent few years here. And the city has always fascinated me because of its historical significance. My address to you is divided into 3 segments. In the first segment, I'll give you a brief background. In the second segment, I'll talk about 5 key points of digital transformation. In the third and last segment, I'll talk about 5 caselets of digital entrepreneurship. I'll try to finish it in the allocated time, but you may forgive me if I exceed by 2 or 3 minutes. Friends, India has always been a superpower in the field of information technology. The first computer that was developed in the 1950s was so large that it could not fit into even a hall as big as this. It was so slow that the manual working was faster. It was making so much noise, people were thinking that some kind of earthquake has come. From there we have come to the desktops, then the laptops, then the palm tops, and these palm tops are your smartphones, which have become extended arms for us. Also, we have had tremendous development in the field of information technology by means of voice recognition technology. Incidentally, you will be glad to learn that this technology was developed by Mr. Sanjeev Agrawal, who hails from Rajasthan, India, and this has transformed the field of information technology. A few years ago, I was reading a fiction written by George Orwell. Title was 1984. Actually, this book was written by George Orwell in 1948. Can you imagine? 1948 he wrote the book. It was so futuristic. He thought that I should title it by reversing the numerals. 48 को पलट दिया तो 84 हो गया. He titled it 1984, and the prophecies given in that novel are yet to come true. I'm talking about 2022. So it is so futuristic. A person who has written it in 1948 has prophesied about so many of the IT predictions which are yet to take place. Because he was talking about thought crimes, and thought recognition technology is yet to come. He was talking about those Big Brother is watching you, so CCTV which has come. 1948 he talked about all those things. Then in my college days I was also fascinated by Alvin Toffler, who wrote a trilogy of books. The first one was Future Shock in 70s. Second one was Third Wave in 80s. The third one was Power Shift in 90s. And he talked about the three waves. The first wave was the agrarian revolution based on agriculture. The second one was industrial revolution. And third one was information revolution. So from there, we see that how the information technology has changed the way we live, do business, and interact with each other. This was my first segment on the background. Now we talk about the digital transformation. Rajiv ji in his keynote address has very beautifully given us a landscape of this digital transformation. To my mind, it is less to do with digital, more to do with transformation. Because digital is not much of a problem, but the transformation is a problem, for which we require immense leadership skills. We require transformational leaders who can bring about digital transformation. As promised, I told you that I'll talk about the 5 key points of this digital transformation. The first is cloud technology. You will agree with me that the cloud-based platforms have brought about huge digital transformation, again in the way we live, do business, and interact with each other. Because the data centers are no more located on site, but they are located in cloud, and people can have remote access. It also raised concerns about cyber security and all, and this has been a major turning stone to my mind. The second trend was about the hybrid way of working. We all know during Corona pandemic that we were forced to work from home. And as a behavior scientist, I was quite affected by the diminishing difference between work and life, because work from home has actually cut down on that line. There were some companies in India who introduced work from resort during those periods. Places like Goa, the villas and hotels were rented out because they were in any case vacant. They were rented out by companies, and they sent their executives when the travel was allowed, because you might be knowing that in the first wave, Goa was least affected. And so these executives were sent there, and they were working from resort just to break the monotony. In our case also, we have been teaching online, but most of us were of this opinion that it is very difficult to catch the retention of learners in online mode. A survey by Gallup, it said that 54% of the employees, now that the Corona pandemic is nearly gone, 54% of the employees are still preferring to work in the hybrid mode. So part coming to office and part working from home, because that is what makes them more comfortable. The third key point I wish to refer about is the artificial intelligence and machine learning. That has also been a huge digital transformation that has been caused because of AI and ML. A survey which was conducted in 2021 suggests that 76% of the companies have preferred AI ML over other IT solutions. We also find that the robots are there, human robots are also there. They are interacting with the press now. There are some robots anchors who are reading news and all, and sometimes they are so beautifully made and the kind of human emotions that they can emote. It is very difficult to distinguish between a robot and a human being. And especially when you are making calls to call centers and all, even when you have been interacting for 2 or 3 minutes, still at the end of the call, you cannot make out whether you were talking to a human being or a robot. However, when you are trying to log in, the robot will ask you and check that whether you are a human or you are also a robot. So this kind of interactions which are taking place, very interesting interactions actually. The last trend is regarding the Bitcoin, the crypto technology, non-fungible tokens, even metaverse. Blockchain technology has been a game changer. Sir Majumdar sir is from IIT Kanpur. Our Honorable Prime Minister, in the last convocation held in January in IIT Kanpur, the degrees were offered using the blockchain technology. So this was quite interesting. This budget which was presented only a few months ago, it was so funny. The policymakers were so confused that at one point of time in the budget they write that Bitcoin is yet to be legalized, and at another point in the budget they say it has to be taxed. Something which they are not legalizing, they are trying to tax it. As far as the metaverse is concerned, you might be knowing, friends, that Facebook has changed its name to Meta Platforms. Metaverse can be funny, but metaverse can be dangerous as well. Because it is the amalgamation of combination of VR, AR, immersive technology, and kind of creating a virtual world in which you are living, but you are getting disconnected from real world. And interactions are taking place. You have created a kind of a, it's already there, friends. And I don't know, because I am the kind of old person here, and so I have not been into it, but some of the youngsters sitting here, they might already be experiencing metaverse, so I will not be surprised. But be cautious, because we have seen so many young kids committing such dangerous acts in the process of their video games and all, which some of them were banned also, but many of them have lost their lives doing such what you can call adventurous acts and all. So friends, these were the 5 key points for digital transformation that I wanted to put forth before this august audience today. My last segment is on digital entrepreneurship. Again, I am very proud to say that Indian youth has taken up big leap here. We are the 3rd largest country in terms of startups. The startup capital, which used to be Hyderabad, has also included Bangalore now. And the large number of startups which have been introduced during the last 7 years when Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has been in power, because the ecosystem was very conducive for it. So 5 trends that I want to share with you, 5 enterprises that I want to share with you. And they are very well known, so I'll not dwell much time on them. Microsoft, developed by Bill Gates and Paul Allen. 19-year-old Bill Gates, college dropout from Harvard Business School, founded Microsoft in 1975, the current worth of which, hold your breath, 2.5 trillion, I am telling, 2.5 trillion US dollars. 1 trillion is equal to 1,000 billion US dollars. So you can imagine, $2,500 billion is the worth of Microsoft. And what an idea, Sarji, like we can say. So that is what it was. Next is WhatsApp. Founded by Brian Acton and John Coombe. It was founded in the year 2009. Interestingly, these 2 gentlemen approached Facebook and they were rejected by Facebook. They were not given a job in Facebook. Facebook had to pay very dearly, because in 2014, they bought WhatsApp from these 2 gentlemen only, at a whopping figure of 19.3 US billion dollars. So that's the power of an idea. Third is Flipkart, founded by Bansals, Sachin and Binny. Both were working for Amazon. They got the heck of it. They thought, why can't we start? And dear students, if you visit the website of Flipkart, and if you read their vision statement, it's the very, very short but very beautiful vision statement for Flipkart is to become Amazon of India. That's all. Flipkart's vision statement says to become Amazon of India. So they sold it to Walmart in 2018 for 16 billion US dollars. Binny Bansal continued with this new venture as group CEO. Second last is Paytm, founded by Vijay Shekhar Sharma in 2010. 2016 demonetization took place. That gave big boost to Paytm. And later on during Corona period also, everybody was so concerned about making this contactless payments and all. So Paytm got further boost there. And its brand value stands at 6.3 billion US dollars. I'm talking about just the brand value. I'm not talking about its worth or anything. The last I want to share with you is Twitter, founded by Jack Dorsey and others in 2006, sold very recently to this Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, for 44 billion US dollars, which is by far the highest such deal which has taken place. Why I have brought these 5 case studies before you? Just because there is immense potential in the students sitting before me here and our other counterparts in the country, that you can also think up of some innovative idea. Do a joint collaborative project. And like it was said that angel investors are very much there. And so funding will not be a problem as long as your idea has some worth. And once you have developed it and once you have matured it and once your business model is in place, then I'm sure that you can also be as successful as any of these digital entrepreneurs. I would like to end by bringing about one interesting coincidence. The university of which I am the Vice Chancellor in Bhilwara, Rajasthan, that is Sangam University, it was actually founded in 2003, and earlier it was known as ITM. So it was Institute of Technology and Management. It was a very good brand there in that part of the country called ITM, and so I'm really happy to be here in this new avatar of ITM University, which is doing wonderfully well, and you all are really lovely people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful insight. Now, I would request the very influential Dr. S.S. Bhaker, Vice Chancellor, ITM University, and patron of the conference for the presidential address. Sir, please.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Chief Guest in the program, Professor Karunesh Saxena, Vice Chancellor, Sangam University, Bhilwara, Rajasthan. Honorable Guest of Honor, Mr. Arup Majumdar, CEO, Thraruthi Consulting Group. Honorable keynote speaker, who was online with us a few minutes back, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, Global Head Wipro. The organizing team of the conference chair, Dr. Vandana Bharti, conference Silpa Bhakar was also associated with the conference as conference and Ms. Pooja Jain, who is organizing secretary of the conference. Sonal Saxena was co-organizing secretary of the conference. The dais also has Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor of ITM University, Professor Sankedkar, Registrar ITM University, Dr. Omveer Singh, all the deans, HODs, faculty colleagues, and dear students. It's a great occasion today that we are in the inaugural session of the international conference. And the theme of the conference, as you can see, is digital transformation and digital entrepreneurship, strategies for revival of global economy, post-COVID-19. We all have suffered in last 2 years because of COVID. We were stuck at home, at times stuck away from home, and were not able to even come back to home. We're not able to connect with people physically, though digitally we were able to connect with people. These 2 years, business really suffered a lot. If you look at the world economy, it contracted 3.2% in 2020. 3.2% of the global economy is equal to 4 years of, it has wiped out 4 years of growth. 3.2% of contraction. The economy would have actually grown. Instead of that, it contracted. So it wiped out 4 years of the growth, world economic growth it could have taken place. And in all, $8.5 trillion were lost because of the contraction in the world economy. India suffered even more, and in 1 quarter, the shrinkage on economic growth was about a quarter century, about 25%, more than 20%, in fact. So, with those shrinkages, it looked almost impossible to come to a growth scenario of that we are able to see today. That is, we are predicting that the world economy will grow at the rate of 4.4. It, in fact, grew at the rate of 4.4% in 2020 when it was predicted to grow at 5.5%, but it couldn't grow that much. It grew at 4.4%, mainly because of the supply chain issues. Though majority of the world opened for business, but supply chains had disruptions because of which the growth could not reach that 5.5%. The global economy was predicted, in fact, to grow at 4.1% in the year 2022, which is unlikely to be achieved because of the war between Russia and Ukraine, and because of pandemic still continuing its effect on China and some other countries. We know that China is a major economy in the world now, and Chinese economy is likely to shrink in this quarter by by estimate of about 7 to 8%, which is going to be huge for the world because it will have a serious adverse effect on the world economy as well. Not only because Chinese economy will shrink, but also because China supplies to the world the material, which is intermediate components for assembling the products that are sold world over. So this scenario that we've seen last 2 years, basically when we are looking at the growth, it has happened because of the use of digital processes. The economy could grow because the organizations quickly moved to digital processes. And in fact, if you look at if you see the surveys before pandemic and after pandemic, you realize that the CEOs and the senior executives who were thinking that it will take about 10 to 15 years for the organizations to reach the use of digital economy levels that the organizations have been able to achieve or able to reach in 2 years. That is 2020 and 21. And pandemic may have had very severe negative effects on the economy, on our lives, on our happiness. But it has had one significant positive outcome, and that is use of digital. The organizations had no option, and that is the reason why they moved quickly to embrace digital. We all know in universities that physical classes were not possible, and all the teaching moved online, the examinations moved online, the evaluation moved online, the labs moved online, and so on. I'm pretty sure the teaching is not going to be the same again. It is not going to be only classrooms in future. It's going to be in blended mode, and it is thanks to Corona that it was coming, but it would have taken probably 10, 15 years to ensure blended learning, which has happened in just 2 years' time, that we are all ready now for blended learning. Not only that the systems are in place, but even our thought processes are aligned with use of blended learning. A lot has already been said on digital transformation and digital entrepreneurship. If we look at Indian scenario, Professor Saxena talked about that we are now third in the unicorn arena. India stands third after US and China. But if you see, in last 3 years, India has been able to produce 62 unicorns. This year, we have produced maximum, that is 44, 2021. 44 unicorns were developed in India. Before that, 11 in 20 and 7 in 19. So in last 3 years itself, 62 unicorns have been developed in India. But do you know how many of them actually are digital enterprises? Majority of them. Majority of them are digital enterprises. Be it in EduCon or any other area, you find that the speed at which a digital enterprise can move and attain a unicorn status, all other types of enterprises take far more time to attain that status. And that is the reason why majority of the unicorn that have attained that unicorn status in India are digital enterprises. And this gives an opportunity to all of you, because digital enterprises do not need too much of investment. It is mainly the idea that is more important than anything else. In fact, even digital skills or ICT skills, technological skills are not important, because you can always hire the skills. The main base for a unicorn to be developed is an idea. And all of you have the capability to think differently, and I'm sure would have ideas that can become unicorn tomorrow. So with that, I wish this conference great success, and I'm sure by the time the conference winds up tomorrow evening, we would be far more informed about digital transformation and digital enterprises, how they will contribute to the world economy. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It is not just about giving, but how much love we pour into giving. It's not just a thought, it's a reflection of our tradition of presenting memento as a token of memory. Now, I would request Dr. Ajit Singh Tomar, Dean Academics, ITM University, to present a memento to our esteemed chief guest, Dr. Karunesh Saxena, as a token of gratitude. So please. May I now request Dr. Anand Kumar Pandey, Dean Student Welfare, School of Management, ITM University, to present a memento to the illustrious guest of honor, Mr. Arup Majumdar, as a token of memory. So please. Sir is coming. Sir is coming from the side. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause, please. Thank you so much, sir. Gratitude is a treasure which once given remains with the person forever in his memories. With these lines, I would now request Dr. Pooja Jain, Organizing Secretary of 3rd International Conference 2022, to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Sonal. Rightly said by Henry Ford, coming together is the beginning, keeping together is a progress, and working together is a success. A very good morning to all the respected dignitaries on and off the dais, faculty colleagues, staff members, participants, and the students. I, Dr. Pooja Jain, Organizing Secretary of this conference, feel honored and privileged to propose a vote of thanks in the inaugural ceremony. I, on behalf of ITM University Gwalior, convey my deep regard and hearty thanks to the chief guest for the ceremony, Dr. Karunesh Saxena, Vice Chancellor, Sangam University, Bhilwara, Rajasthan. Thank you, sir. Keynote speaker, Mr. Rajiv Kumar, Global Head Wipro. Guest of honor, Mr. Arup Majumdar, CEO Trupti Consulting Group, for gracing the ceremony and share their wisdom with us. I also express my sincere gratitude to Dr. S.S. Bhagar, Vice Chancellor, ITM University, Gwalior, for his continuous guidance, support, and motivation. My sincere thanks to Dr. Santosh Kishan Narayan Khedkar, to Pro Vice Chancellor, ITM University Gwalior, for continuous support. This vote of thanks would remain incomplete if I do not thank Conference Chairman Dr. Vandana Bharti, Conference Convener Dr. Shilpa Bhakar, and HOD Mr. Kesav Kansana for their persistent and continuous support. I offer my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Shahid Amin, Associate Professor, School of Management, and Dr. Rambabu Sridhar, Assistant Professor, School of Management. My special thanks to Dr. Anand Kumar Pandey, Dean Student Welfare, and Dr. Sonal Saxena, Co-Organizing Secretary of 3rd International Conference, for their support and untiring effort for this conference successful. I offer my heartfelt gratitude to delegates who came from different parts of the country. I thank faculty colleagues for their persistence and continuous support. My special thanks to Mr. Robin Chauhan and other staff members, as well as ITM student volunteers, for their support and untiring efforts for this conference successful. My sincere thanks to the print and electronic media for their presence and excellent coverage of the conference. Last but not the least, I thank you all for being a lovely audience. Looking forward for your presence in the next event organized by our ITM University. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. At the end, I would just like to say that be encouraged and stay on your hustle. You can't fail until you quit. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dias, for being present. Thank you so much.